Out of this incident, do you think the Ohio legislature ought to consider separating county veteran service commissions from boards of county commissioners?
Absolutely. Now, you're saying that the county commissioner should not have any control?
Right. It's just a totally separate operation.
I agree. And even at this point, you know, I guess we are up to a point out of their control. Our Ohio Revised Code indicates that.
It's just that the funding, because the funding goes into the general fund, that's the only control that the commissioners really have, right? Is because since that goes into the general fund, but if that funding were separate and put into a different account, then that was controlled by the Veteran Services Board, then commissioners wouldn't be involved whatsoever.
Correct.
Uh,
Okay.
Right.
Now, do you know if there's any talk of making that money go into a separate fund?
Well, that's what I was referring to earlier.
Yeah, okay.
Indicating that, and in the Citizens Review Committee made that same recommendation.
But that would take legislation, right?
I don't know if that would take legislation. There are probably about 15 accounts in our system here in Stark County, or more perhaps. So I don't know how difficult it would be, and I don't think that it takes an act of legislation to do that.
Actually, that could end up working to the detriment of the county commissioners, because if I understand the process now, you have your budgeted monies, and then you turn money back before the new budget comes on. And so the commissioners actually benefit from that. If you have separate funds, that's probably not going to be doable.
Well, you know that's correct. And in fact, this is another handout. I've kept track over the years, and I think you may have a copy of this, of what we've turned back, not asking for. And I don't know, Martin, if you've gotten it.
I've gotten it, yeah.
And also of the unspent money that we did ask for. And you know, it's interesting that the review committee brought that point up too, and they said, you know, unfortunately the citizens of Stark County don't get a true picture of the budget by seeing our money, the $2.5 million in there. If they'd say we have 2.5 less, they would get a truer picture of what the financial situation is of the county.
Let me ask you from this standpoint. I'm kind of thinking that maybe there's a political factor here. You know, Commissioner Creighton's a Republican. Are you a Democrat?
I'm a registered Democrat.
Yes. Do you have any suspicions that that may be a factor here in the criticism you're getting?
I don't. I would have nothing to think that. Again, we're non-political. I'm non-political. I'm not running. I've never run, nor am I going. Well, I'll take that back. I ran for trustee about 30-some years ago in Perry, but I'm not a politician. I don't know, unless you know something, Martin, that you read in between the lines.
Well, I'm just, you know, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I guess I was kind of surprised by the strength of the reaction today, and so I always look for factors that nobody really talks about, and so that's why I'm posing the question to you. Do you receive it that way or not?
I'd have no reason to believe that it was a political issue.
Okay.
Do you think there's any other outlying issues that may have brought this to a head? Or
Yeah, control.
Okay.
It's control of the budget. That's the bottom line. And it's who's in charge of who. You know, again, I have no intentions of running for political office. I'm not preparing myself for anything and to be called a bureaucrat. I am just absolutely amazed that's the best word she could come up with. That there's probably no truth to that whatsoever. My dedication is to the veterans and the families who come in here. That's the bottom line. I served my country honorably for 34 years. And to be called a bureaucrat because...
What service were you in?
The Army.
In the Army.
To be called a bureaucrat is beyond me.
Give the viewers of the Stark County Political Report a little bit of a synopsis of your military career.
Sure. I'm very proud of my military career. I started out as a draftee in 1969, Did basic training at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, AIT, Fort Knox, Kentucky. I ended up permanent party at Fort Knox. I did OCS, Officer Candidate School, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, Engineer School. Graduated as a second lieutenant in the Ordnance Corps. Ended up at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Fort Riley. It's been a year in Korea. I got out of the military, came to work here. I was asked by one of the board members, or told you should be in the reserve program. So I decided, well, no, you know, I ended up in Korea. Vietnam was storming at the time, and I felt very fortunate. But anyway, I figured I'd check it out, so I checked into what would be the best area to get into. So medical, and so I joined at 350th EVAC Hospital. I was there in every capacity whatsoever. We got activated in 1990 for Persian Gulf 1. Ended up the 256 Combat Support Hospital up in Parma as the XO, and then the hospital commander. I was a patient administrator in the Persian Gulf for the hospital, 400-bed hospital.
These raises are not helping veterans. She says, you know, they're just helping bureaucrats. You know, they're not really helping veterans. But you kind
Can I
of,
make a statement on that?
Sure.
yeah.
I'm a veteran. It helps.
We're all veterans.
We're all
who work
veterans here.
Would you care to identify yourself?
Sir, my name is Robert Snyder, and I'm a service officer here at the Stark County Veteran Service Commission.
Are you one of the persons that received an increase?
Yes.
I'm sorry, and how do you spell Snyder?
S-N-Y.
Y? Okay.
D-E-R.
Okay. Thank you. And how long have you worked here?
4 years.
4 years, okay. And do you mind answering a couple questions?
Please
do.
do.
Just in terms of that raise, I mean, you haven't had a raise in, what, in 2 years at least?
I believe so, yes.
So, I mean, do you need the raise? I mean, is it...
He mentioned the person here that works here with 3 kids making $24,000 a year. That person is me.
That's what I was wondering. Okay, okay.
$24,000 a year to raise 3 kids with gas prices at $3.50 a gallon at the very least. My food bill is about $1,000 per month. So $24,000 a year does not go very far at all.
What is your specific work assignment for the Veteran Service Commission?
I'm one of the service officers here,
And what does that entail?
filing for VA claims. And he mentioned the retro money coming back. Myself, not to take anything away from my other gentlemen here, because they're fantastic, I brought home $553,000 just since January.
This is money that goes in the pocket of veterans?
That is correct.
And the alternative would be, if you didn't exist, is for veterans to represent themselves, hire attorneys?
Represent themselves, hire attorneys, cost themselves possible money, and may do the claim the wrong way. Federal benefits is a tough thing to apply for. It's very confusing, a lot of paperwork, a lot of things go into it that these veterans don't understand. We are trained specifically to do this.
You probably do a better job than many attorneys do on this because you do so much of it.
I would like to think so. I don't know the law as they do, but I'm good at my job. I enjoy my job. I love my veterans. And I do my job for $24,000 a year because I love it.
And your service, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was in the United States Navy,
Okay.
submarine force, medical retiree.
And how long were you in there?
3 years.
3 years.
I was retired after 3 years.
Okay. And how many people do you have on staff now?
12.
12. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that includes secretary of support staff.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that Commissioner Creighton brought up was your salary, and was very critical. Said that you make $100,000 a year, and suggested that that was unwarranted.
Well, you know, to be quite honest with you, I don't know what I make here, but I would certainly think her walking into an $80,000 a year job is unwarranted as well, and with no experience. I've been here 31 years. How long has she been downstairs? You know, it seems like Ms. Creighton seems to be the the one doing all the talking down there. Mr. Burnaby said nothing. I would assume. Mr.
Well,
Ferguson-
he did endorse the resolution, if I understood it, and he did say a little bit, but my own take on it, of course, Kelly speak for herself, was he was not nearly as passionate about it as Commissioner Creighton.
And Mr. Ferguson is in Columbus today,
Right.
No.
so that's why I don't have any comments from him.
Yeah. No, like I said, I've been here 31 years.
What position did you start out in?
I started out as a service officer.
Okay, so you've gone up through the ranks.
I started out at $11,000 31 years ago with a college degree. And I worked my way up through the ranks.
And you plan to retire pretty soon, do you
Mhm.
not? Yeah, do you know your retirement date yet?
No.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know if you had said that.
Couple
you would.
more years, I think.
Okay.
You know, the problem what I run into, okay, so you understand here, is we don't have an assistant director anymore. I assumed his responsibilities. Okay, so the bureaucrat's overpaid, then I'm overpaid bureaucrat. We lost the service officer, could not make it through the probationary period. Was not replaced. We're going to have another gentleman here retiring in July, and in fact, you can attest to this. Board asked me, "Are you thinking about hiring anybody?" Again, they asked me, but again, the bureaucrat. My recommendation, because again, I'm here, they're not all the time. I would at this time, I told them I'd have to think about it. So now we've got a lesser staff.
I don't quite understand why you would go that route if you're not getting all the money that you could get. You're turning money back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mystery to me why you would be self-disciplined and not just go to the fullest length to make sure that you had as many people as you could use.
Well, you know, we try to be fair. I've always gone down every time that we presented a budget to the county commissioners and told them we work together in this. We're not your enemy. And I've had a number of conversations even with Commissioner Harmon, Commissioner Bosley, and I can go back to way back when, too far to even want to remember. But we're in this together. The law says that we have to have a justifiable budget. We follow that law. And we only use what we need. And
Do you get reviewed by anyone down in Columbus on your budget?
no,
Okay.
no. Other than the Ohio Department of Veterans Services kind of oversees us, but there's no real review. That's why we have a commission, and I guess that's why we've got 43,000 veterans out there that keep an eye on what we do. And believe me, some of them say, spend it all, spend it all. And I say, please tell me how to spend it legally. We have a responsibility, first of all, to the veterans that come in here. We have a responsibility to taxpayers of the county. And so that's how we look at that.
Do you think...